let's recap the Ole Miss game, and then we'll move forward to Boise. You know, going back and looking at the film, you know, before, when the game was over, I really felt like our offensive line had played really well. You know, rushing for 200 yards against, to me, one of the best defensive lines probably in the country, and especially in the SEC. But going back and looking at the film, I was even more impressed by those guys. I thought that they got a lot of movement. I thought they did a great job protecting our quarterback. That was the most time he's had this year, and that was going against a quality SEC defensive lineman. That was a challenge going in, and that was one of our main concerns going into the game was you know, being able to run the ball and being able to, if we had to throw the ball, could we protect and keep Kimdichie from getting in the backfield, pressuring the quarterback and getting sacks. And our guys, I thought, did a really nice job there. But then you look at the other areas where we struggled. When you go back offensively, it was the turnovers. You know, after they scored, for us to take the ball, drive back down the field with a chance to tie the game 7-7 would have been a great momentum swing, a great confidence boost, and then the first turnover of the night really resulted in another touchdown for them, and that was a 14-point swing. And even after all of that, we kept battling, found a way to cut it to 28-6 at halftime, to where you go to the locker room with a little momentum and with a little bit of glimmer of hope that, hey, if we can come out with the ball the second half, then maybe we can climb back into this. And then the dagger was the two quick turnovers to start the third quarter, especially one for a touchdown. Then from that point on, the offense is playing behind the chains, doing things, you know, having to throw the ball an awful lot, try to catch up, and that's not what we do, and that's not what really anybody wants to do. So got us out of our game plan there, but a lot of positives to take from the game. One, that I thought our kids battled to the end. I thought our offensive line, like we talked about, played extremely well, and I thought our defensive line held its own too. They had most of their success on perimeter, where our outside backers and corners did not do a good enough job setting the edge for the safety support coming inside out. And then I thought at times we tackled poorly. There was some spurts where we did tackle well, but we've got to still improve tackling. A lot of that had to probably do with those guys were pretty quick and pretty fast. And so we struggled there at times too. But I do think it's something to build on, especially with the offensive line play. Playing good people is only going to prepare us for conference play. We are very, like I said, disappointed to be where we are at this point, but by no stretch of the imagination do we not feel like that we're still going to have a very good football team. I love to look in our guys' eyes last night. They're very determined, ready to move forward. They felt like in some areas we did improve, but we've got to eliminate turnovers, and we've got to call some. We finally got one the other night. But give Ole Miss credit. They've got a talented team. I think now they're in the top 10 in the country, and that's an awfully tough place to go play. Like I said, turn over 4 times. Moving forward, got to get ready for a very tough Boise State football team who is exceptional at home. It'll be a long road trip for our guys, longer than we're probably used to, about 3 hours and 36 minutes from here to Boise. So somewhat of a trip, and then you've got a long day at the hotel for an 8:30 local time kickoff, 9:30 here at home kickoff. So that will be a little different dynamic, longer time and wait around all day. Boy, I tell you, that is a long time to kick the ball off. So we'll have to do a great job of keeping our guys focused, prepared, keeping them rested, but not too rested, so you don't come out there hungover and lethargic as you come time to doing a late night kickoff. So a lot of challenges this week. We've got to continue to find answers in the big play game without Jamal, as he will be out probably for the next 3 to 4 weeks. But everybody else has got to pick up the slack, and that's part of football. That's one man's down, that's another man's opportunity, and so the opportunity's there. And so our wideouts have got to embrace that. We've got to catch the ball when we get an opportunity, like we had the other night. So, but we're anxious to compete this week. We're anxious to get back to practice. Our guys last night flew around. They are really determined to get better. And when you got a team that's still fighting, that's still hungry, that knows they have the potential to be an outstanding team, then you're going to get there. And I have no doubt that we will. We just all want it to be sooner rather than later. grindstone. So with that, any questions?
You talked the other night about liking the effort, but obviously the execution is not there yet. What about emotionally? What's the state of this team emotionally right now?
Well, I think, after the first game, I think it was somewhat of a hangover for a couple of days. Obviously, I think that was a game that they really underestimated their opponent. I really felt like that after looking back that our guys walked through the game a little bit, kept waiting for them just to lay down for us, and they came in and played extremely well. Talking about Louisiana Tech, and then, they're probably a little better ball team than what we thought. They go to North Texas and blow them out and hold North Texas to about 130 yards total offense. And so I think those guys had a little hangover for a few days, so a little bit probably like everybody else, like didn't see that coming. It was a great wake-up call. Our guys got back to work last week. I think the effort showed up this week, although the execution in a lot of areas did not. But I think it was one of those games that sort of gets you refocused. Our guys are the same guys that made plays last year. Everybody's sort of, talking about Alonzo, down on Alonzo for 2 fumbles in 2 weeks, but I think he went 211 carries last year, the entire season, without a turnover. And so the guy has never been a guy that turns the ball over, period. And so I have all the faith in Alonzo Harris. I don't think we throw anybody in our family out of the house the first time our kids or wives or husbands make mistakes. So we're definitely not going to throw him out. He's a guy that we can count on, that we believe in, and he'll only get better. And he takes it very personal too, and he wants to do a great job, and he wants to be a leader of this team. So I expect him to bounce back strong this week.
What do you think is the biggest difference between the Terrence of the last couple weeks and when he was really at his peak previously? And also, is there anything at all holding him back physically because of the operation and all that?
Yeah, nothing's holding him back physically. If anything, if I could think of anything that might have to deal with Terrence right now, it might be the fact that, we're down 21 or 28 points. And he's feeling like he's got to make that spectacular play to get us back into the game, where last year when we went on that 6-game winning streak and we're playing pretty good defense, and you could be a little more patient and maybe not take as many chances, and know you're going to be able to punt, play good defense, get the ball back, keep working to find answers, and if you miss on a ball, your defense is going to play well. But when you're down, I think sometimes as a quarterback, and especially a guy that is a competitor, is really pushing himself to just carry the team. And I think still, even in those type of games when you're down 28-6, you still got to know that, I've got to take care of the football. Give our guys a defensive chance to show that, they maybe made some adjustments at halftime so we get the ball back and try again.
Is any of it at all just that the skill sets of the weapons are different than Lawson and the Peoples at the same time?
Well, we didn't have Peoples last year. We didn't have Lawson last year. Basically we had the same two we had except for Surgeon, and so the outside guys are the same. And so playing 2 good opponents on the first 3 games, defensively, sometimes the defense has a little bit to do with it also. Those guys are on scholarship and play good football. And so, I think if you listen to Terrence yesterday, and if you see him in practice, man, the guy is such a competitor, and he is determined to pull this team through, and especially with his play and with his leadership and decision-making process, and a lot of that those turnovers had to do with just decisions, not necessarily with skill set. And because he knows he's much better than that, and I expect him to play really good.
Coach, when you took over the program a couple of years ago, did you at all look at what Boise State did to kind of build their program up and kind of model after how they built everything?
Not necessarily, because every situation's dynamics are different. But you knew about a Boise, you knew about a TCU, you knew about a Louisville. Those 3 models to me come to mind when you think about programs that went from Conference USA basically to now Power 5 with TCU and in Louisville. And so obviously we face different dynamics, but some of the same challenges. And taking a team that was ranked 120 in the nation the year we got here, dead last, and then finishing the year last year, I think at 32. We felt like that part of we made some progress there. Now with the stadium, first phase of the stadium is another step, and we get the second phase in the new facility. Now your recruiting dynamics change, and so our community support is really strong. And so I think we've got the resources, and hopefully as the season continues, we can continue to show that we have the team to hopefully one day make that type of move. But it takes time, and Boise, even though they had a stretch there that was pretty amazing, still trying to take that next step, probably into a Power 5 conference. But they have done an exceptional job out there with their marketing and the way they've promoted their program, but more importantly, how they've played. They're exceptional. But back to the main thing, we've got to keep the main thing, and that is to get this football team straightened out in the next few weeks.
The last 2 weeks, the receivers have been finding a lot of open space. Where's your level of concern with the play of your secondary right now?
Well, a couple things. One is a lot of the space created was not just the secondary, it was the linebacker. Underneath coverage was really poor. I felt like our linebacker drops was the poorest it's been this year. We're now on our landmarks, which opens up underneath passing. The secondary is responsible for the deep thirds or deep halves. The linebacker is responsible for the short passes, and they did not do a good job. They let their eyes mislead them, and they took what we call the bait. They took the cheese, and did not do a good job there. They're going to improve. One change we are going to look at in secondary, after going back and viewing the film, we're moving Travis Pack back down the corner, and T.J. Worthy will move up from the second team safety position to the first safety. I thought our coverage in the back end was soft. I know we was worried about getting the deep ball over our heads. They had some exceptional speed, but not to the point where we're not competing for balls and coming up and making tackles. And so we're going to see if that move will help us. Obviously, T-Pad is not a stranger to the corner. It's not new for him. And hopefully that may make us a little more secure back on the back edge, and plus you got a little bigger corner there also.
Coach Boise.
Yes, Dominic Jones.
Coach Boise Young is a kid that's come in each of the 3 games and played physical and played hard. Do you see him as someone who's going to get some extra time on the field?
Yeah, Boris was productive the other night, played physical, but for every one play he made, he was out of position for another play. And so if Boris could be way more consistent in his play, that guy could really be an outstanding football player for us. He has really come on after missing a lot of the summer conditioning because of his somewhat of an illness that he had. I'm a Boris fan. What a great kid, hard worker. And but like I said, all our linebackers were out of sync as far as their drops and responsibilities. But when they were in the right spots, he was very active. I think he had 5 tackles, maybe a tackle for loss, and he did some nice things when he did the right thing.
Another linebacker may not be in the right spot, but Trey Johnson, 3 straight weeks has led you guys to tackles. Is he?
Yeah, Trey's doing some good things, and I'm happy for Trey because he's waited his turn and worked hard. And he's got a lot of tackles, but to be honest with you, he could have even more tackles if he could eliminate the missed tackles. I think he had 2 missed tackles on 1 play the other night. And so, even though he's making a lot of plays, I think Trey can make more plays, and that's my challenge to him. But you know what? He is such a hard worker. He cares. It's important to him, and as well as the rest of the team. And I think that's, obviously, as always, going to be another big emphasis to continue improving tackling. Game 1, game 2, game 3 is early in the season. You get better as you go when you're tackling loud bodies. It's one thing to tackle scout players. It's one thing to tackle all SEC players. And so, you get better as the year goes on. And so hopefully we can improve in that area. We'll need to if we're going to improve as a defense.
What's Mulberry's situation?
Jake's still not a 100%. He's trying and he wants to be out there. He sort of got hit again the other night, sort of hobbled just a little bit, came back in a little bit, I think, but I think it made him a little bit ineffective because of that. Still not 100%, but he'll be good enough to play this week.
Coach, every week we talk, the last 3 weeks we've talked about DeBoer Lee's names come up. And yet again, played some good spurts in that game, and he's the second league in tackle on the defensive line without being a starter this year.
You know, that says a lot about that kid, about DeBoer's Lee. True freshman from Ackerman, Mississippi, small high school. This guy has come in and he is so productive. He's got a great foundation, great base, hard to move him, very quick, can take a gap. He's going to be an exceptional player for us, and he's tough, and he's got a great motor. He's got a great work ethic. He's a great kid, so a lot of reasons to love that boy.
Coach, you talked about your team, coaches. What kind of message would you give for the Cajun fan who's pretty down right now?
Well, you know, I know a lot of fans are disappointed and down, but they're not as down as our players and our coaches, you know, as far as being disappointed. Especially when these players are up here at 5 o'clock every morning, all summer and all spring and all fall. So they're the ones, you know, putting in all the work and grinding, and then for them to not really see the success that they really felt that they were going to see is really disappointing. So, you know, nobody's expectations are any higher than our own. But, you know, in life sometimes things don't always go as planned, and obviously the first 3 games didn't go as planned. We thought we'd have played much better. Regardless of the outcomes, we thought we'd have played much better. But we're off to a little bit of a slow start. Some teams start fast and finish slow. Some teams start fast, finish fast. We're starting slow, but hopefully we can finish fast. And like I always say, any team or any fan, hey, it's easy to hold on to the rope when you win 6 in a row, and go to a bowl game every year, and you win the lottery every day. And your kid gets straight A's on his report cards, and your husband brings home flowers every day. Everybody can be happy and hold on to the rope. But when you're challenged, now you see who the real people are that'll hold on to the rope with you. What teammates will hold on to the rope, what fans, you know, what coaches. And I know this, we got it securely, and we're going to keep working hard. We're going to find a way.
Coach, 3 games in, Eli's got 2 punt returns. How do you prevent him from trying to get antsy back there and taking risks that he doesn't need to be taking?
Yeah, you know, he's a pretty good decision maker. He wants to get his hands on those balls because Eli on the punt returns I think can make something happen. We've got to do a little better job in our hold-ups with our hold-up team. Got to do a good job giving him some lanes, because if we can just give him a step, that can be a weapon for us, and that's going to be a point of emphasis this week. But, you know, we've got to get a few more punt return opportunities for him, and that's on the defense to get some stops to get him back on the field.
Does Worthy's backup become T-back going back to safety and bring up one of the corners?
Probably so, yeah, that's probably that would happen, yeah.
You mentioned some time to kill on Saturday. Will you bring him in? I know you usually don't do it, but on Saturday morning or something like that, and let him go on that blue turf just to get used to depth perception and all of that?
You know, we've not planned on it right now, although Matt alluded to it earlier, but we did not make this decision until just a couple hours prior to this. We're going to practice Thursday night, this Thursday night, 8 o'clock. So we're going to get a late night practice this Thursday, and then we'll get a late walkthrough on Friday there. Whether it's at the stadium or not, don't know yet, but that could be a possibility. But we're going to get two late practices, similar to game time. A little different dynamics. Wait until that point of the day to practice after you have a long day. So we want to work on that mental clock, starting that mental motor, that physical motor later in the evening rather than at 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Even though Trevins has plenty of experience at corner, and you're making that shift in 1 week after playing like a whole safety most of the fall, how difficult is that transition, or is he just going to be able to kind of pick
I don't think so, because he's played it. And last year we moved him at halftime of the Arkansas game, and he had his probably best half of football he may have played. So he's pretty good at making quick changes. He'll get a lot of work this week, and he's sparingly played some corner during fall camp at times, during practice if a guy maybe had been out for a day or two. And so he's got a little bit of time there too. So I don't think it'd be a big issue. When you're a good football player, a good athlete, you'll be fine.
Is Boise doing some of the same things with Horson as Arkansas State did last year?
Yeah, they're similar. They're similar. They're a tempo team. They're real similar. They're going to spread you out. They do a good job with a lot of formations, a lot of personnel groupings. And so it'll be a challenge. And it's a challenge of seeing what personnel group he's coming into the game. That's one of the biggest challenges, because when a player runs onto the field, you're looking at it from the box. It's hard to tell right away, because the uniform's blue, the field is blue, and so we're all blending in. So that's the challenge, is identifying personnel on their field.
You were really happy with the way your offensive line played. Boise State got after the quarterback there. Their defensive front's playing really well. Can you talk a little bit about another challenge for those guys?
Yeah, each week seems like we go against a quality front, and they've got a quality front too. And they play. The thing you notice about Boise team, they play awfully hard. They run to the ball. You can tell they're well coached, well prepared, and it'll be a huge challenge. They're tough. I think they're tough, and I thought last year Brian's team at Arkansas State was tough. And so that's the mindset I think they've always had there at Boise. And so, like I said, it'll be a challenge.
Boise also, they have a pretty big-time receiver averaging about 100 yards a game up there. Have you noticed anything watching him on film, or what makes him kind of explosive up there?
Well, they give him some opportunities. That's the thing that they do, that we've got to do a little better job of when Jamal comes back, is giving him opportunities. And they're going to give him opportunities to make big plays. And you can't make big plays unless you give him a chance to make big plays. And they give him some opportunities for big plays. And we'll have to hopefully do a nice job on him and pick and choose when we think it's coming his way, because he can hurt you. He's a really good player.
I remember the flip side with your passing games, that since Jamal's gone out, the big plays have been kind of hard to come by. Is that, having looked back at the film, is that just a product of Jamal not being there, or maybe just some?
A little bit of both. Yeah, when you've got one of your best players out, that takes away that one element that you might have. But although Devin Scott for us is a guy that we think can have big play possibilities. He's a 10-4, 100-meter guy, track guy that can really run, can really stretch the field. And so hopefully we can utilize his speed a little bit, and then open up, expand the coverage, open up for some of our underneath guys too. So we got to have some other guys step up. Eli is an explosive guy that now we'll have to make sure he gets a few more touches. And he got a few touches the other night. Would have loved to see him get a few more. He still wasn't quite himself the other night. I think you probably saw that even on the run he broke. But he's getting back closer every day.